post-game depression. Ever heard of it? Well, it's just a sad feeling you get after you complete a game. So in this video, I am going to be talking about 10 great games that will make you feel sad when they end. Yakuza 6: The Song of Life. This game is all about Kazuma Kiryu, a guy who's been through some seriously rough times. By the time you get to this part of his story, you're really rooting for him. In Yakuza 6, Kiryu's trying to chill out after doing some hard time in prison, but life isn't that simple, right? He finds out that his adopted daughter, Haruka, is in a coma after a hit-and-run accident, and she has a baby boy now. This pulls him back into the messy, dangerous world he was hoping to leave behind. The game lets you explore two main areas: Onomichi, a small, peaceful town, and Kamurocho, a big, bustling city that's always full of trouble. You get this cool mix of intense fights and quiet, touching moments. You spend a lot of time with Kiryu as he tries to protect his family and figure out what happened to Haruka. What really hits hard in Yakuza 6 is how it deals with family and loyalty. Kiryu is this tough, no-nonsense guy, but he really cares about the people he loves. Seeing him fight so hard to keep his family safe and make sense of his life is really touching. And for the ending, man, it's a real tearjerker. After everything Kiryu goes through, saying goodbye to him is tough. The story wraps up in a way that feels right, but it's also bittersweet. You've spent so much time with Kiryu, seeing his highs and lows, that it's hard to let go. Yakuza 6: The Song of Life is one of those games that sticks with you. Sure, there's lots of action, but it's the emotional moments that really stand out. By the end, you're left feeling a bit empty because you've been on such a deep emotional journey with Kiryu. It's one of those games that makes you sad when it ends because you've come to care so much about the characters and their stories. A Plague Tale Requiem. Alright, let's dive into A Plague Tale Requiem. This game is a real emotional ride from start to finish. You follow the story of Amisha and her younger brother Hugo, who are trying to survive in a world that's falling apart due to a horrific plague. The bond between Amisha and Hugo is the heart of this game. You play as Amisha, and you have to protect Hugo, who's not only your little brother, but also dealing with a mysterious illness that seems connected to the plague.
What happened?
The game's world is dark and full of danger, but their relationship brings a lot of warmth and hope to the story. The gameplay mixes stealth, puzzles, and a bit of combat. You're often sneaking around trying to avoid soldiers and deadly swarms of rats. These rats are everywhere and are super creepy, adding a lot of tension to the game. You have to use light and fire to keep them at bay, and figuring out how to get through each area can be pretty intense. The story is what really pulls you in. It's set in a beautifully detailed but terrifying medieval world. As you journey through villages, castles, and forests, you meet other characters who help or hinder you, each with their own stories and struggles. The narrative keeps you hooked as Amisha and Hugo try to find a way to stop his illness and escape the chaos around them. The emotional weight of the game really hits you as you see Amisha and Hugo grow and change. Amisha becomes stronger and more determined, while Hugo's innocence and vulnerability make you care deeply about what happens to them. The game doesn't shy away from showing the harsh realities of their world, making their moments of hope and love even more impactful. By the time you reach the end of A Plague Tale Requiem, you're completely invested in their story.
What you have to do. Yes.
The ending is powerful and bittersweet, leaving you with a mix of sadness and appreciation for the journey you've been on. It's one of those games where you feel a bit empty after it ends because you've been through so much with the characters. A Plague Tale Requiem is a game that will definitely make you sad when it's over. The combination of its gripping story, emotional depth, and beautiful yet haunting world makes it an unforgettable experience.
Any idea where the pharmacy keys might be?
We searched high and low inside before you...
Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1. Next up is Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1. This game is an emotional powerhouse that will stick with you long after the credits roll. You play as Lee Everett, a man with a troubled past, who finds himself in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Right from the start, you meet Clementine, a young girl who's alone and scared. The bond that forms between Lee and Clementine is the heart and soul of this game. As Lee, you take on a protective role, teaching Clem how to survive and trying to keep her safe in a world that's falling apart. The gameplay is all about making tough choices. Every decision you make can affect the story and the relationships with other characters. These choices aren't easy, they often force you to weigh your morals and decide what kind of person Lee is going to be. The game does a fantastic job of making you feel the weight of your decisions, with some truly heart-wrenching moments. The story is gripping and filled with tension. You meet a lot of different characters along the way, each with their own stories and motivations. The writing and voice acting are top-notch, making every interaction feel real and meaningful. The world is bleak and dangerous, and you never know who you can trust or what's going to happen next. What really sets this game apart is the emotional depth. The relationship between Lee and Clementine is beautifully written and developed. You see Clem grow from a scared little girl into a more capable and determined survivor, thanks in large part to Lee's guidance. Their bond feels genuine and heartwarming, which makes the game's ending all the more devastating. By the time you reach the final moments of Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1, you're deeply invested in these characters. The ending is incredibly emotional and will likely leave you in tears. It's a powerful conclusion that underscores the themes of sacrifice, hope, and the harsh realities of the apocalypse. This game is a masterclass in storytelling and character development. It's one of those experiences that makes you sad when it ends because you've been on such a profound journey with the characters. Life is Strange. Let's talk about Life is Strange. This game is a real emotional roller coaster that will stay with you long after you finish it. You play as Max Caulfield, a high school student who discovers she can rewind time. This power leads her to reconnect with her childhood friend, Chloe Price, and together they try to uncover the truth behind the disappearance of a fellow student. The story is the heart of Life is Strange. It's all about friendship, growing up, and the impact of choices. The bond between Max and Chloe feels genuine and deep, making you care about their journey and struggles.
This is my storm! I caused this!
The dialogue and interactions are realistic, capturing the essence of teenage life with all its complexities. What makes this game unique is the time rewinding mechanic. You can reverse time to change the outcome of events and decisions. This adds a layer of strategy, as you often face tough choices that affect the story and relationships with other characters.
Get that gun away from me, psycho!
The game constantly challenges you to think about the consequences of your actions, making every decision feel significant. The atmosphere of Life is Strange is immersive and beautifully crafted. The small town of Arcadia Bay is filled with interesting locations and characters. The game's art style is distinct, with a hand-painted feel that adds to its charm. The soundtrack is also a standout feature, filled with indie tracks that perfectly match the mood of the game. As you progress through the game, you uncover deeper, darker secrets about Arcadia Bay and its residents. The story tackles heavy themes like loss, mental health, and the passage of time, all while maintaining a sense of hope and the importance of human connections. By the time you reach the end of Life is Strange, you're deeply attached to Max and Chloe. The final decision you have to make is heart-wrenching and leaves a lasting impact. It's one of those moments in gaming that makes you pause and reflect long after the screen goes dark. Life is Strange is a game that makes you sad when it ends because you've been on such an emotional journey. The characters feel like real people and their struggles resonate with you. If you're into story-driven games that explore deep themes and make you think, Life is Strange is a must-play. It's a beautiful, poignant experience that you won't forget. Firewatch. Let's talk about Firewatch. This game is a gem that takes you on an emotional journey through the beautiful yet isolating wilderness of Wyoming. You play as Henry, a man seeking escape from his troubled life by taking a job as a fire lookout in the Shoshone National Forest. The game starts with you settling into your new solitary life in the forest. Your only contact is your supervisor, Delilah, who you communicate with via walkie-talkie.
Hello? Whoever this is?
It's Henry, right?
Yeah.
I'm Delilah.
Yeah, that's what the guy said on the phone.
The relationship between Henry and Delilah is the heart of the game. Their conversations are witty, poignant, and sometimes deeply personal, drawing you into their stories and making you care about these two characters you never actually see together. It's kind of amazing. How can you get attached to a person's voice without ever meeting them?
An old, I think it's called a medicine wheel out here.
Yeah, it was made by Crow-American Indians hundreds of years ago.
The setting in Firewatch is breathtaking. The art style is vibrant and the landscapes are stunning, capturing the serene beauty of the wilderness. As you explore the forest, you'll encounter various trails, lakes, and viewpoints that make you want to pause and take it all in. The sound design is also top-notch, with the ambient noises of the forest adding to the immersion. What makes Firewatch special is how it combines exploration with narrative. As you wander the forest, strange things start happening. You find clues and objects that hint at a deeper mystery, and the sense of intrigue keeps you hooked. The game balances these moments of discovery with the evolving relationship between Henry and Delilah, making every interaction feel meaningful. The pacing of the story is perfect, allowing you to really soak in the atmosphere while slowly unraveling the mystery. You feel a growing sense of unease as the story progresses, but also moments of calm and reflection. It's a game that takes its time, allowing you to get lost in the world and the characters' lives. By the end of Firewatch, you're left with a mix of emotions. The ending doesn't tie everything up neatly, which feels fitting for a story about real, flawed people dealing with complex emotions. It's bittersweet and leaves you thinking about the characters and their choices long after you've put down the controller. Firewatch is a game that makes you sad when it ends, not just because of its story, but because it's a world you don't want to leave. The beautiful setting, engaging mystery, and deep character interactions create an experience that's both touching and unforgettable. If you're looking for a game that combines emotional storytelling with stunning exploration, Firewatch is definitely one to play.
What the hell were you looking for, man?
No.
Mafia Definitive Edition. Alright, let's talk about Mafia Definitive Edition. This remake of the classic Mafia game is a beautifully crafted experience that pulls you into the life of Tommy Angelo, a cab driver turned mobster in the 1930s. The game's story and characters are so well done that you'll feel a bit empty when it's all over. In Mafia Definitive Edition, you get to see Tommy's journey from a regular guy just trying to get by to someone deeply entrenched in the criminal underworld. The story is told through a series of flashbacks as Tommy recounts his rise and fall in the Salieri crime family. It's a gripping narrative full of tension, loyalty, and betrayal. The game setting is the city of Lost Heaven, a fictional place inspired by Chicago.
Alright, do not move!
The attention to detail is incredible. The streets are filled with vintage cars, period-specific buildings, and an atmosphere that really makes you feel like you've stepped back in time. The city feels alive, and it's a joy to explore even when you're just driving from one mission to another. The missions themselves are varied and exciting. You'll be doing everything from high-speed chases and shootouts to quieter, more introspective moments. The game's pacing keeps things fresh and engaging, with each mission pushing the story forward and developing Tommy's character. One of the standout aspects of the game is its characters. Tommy is a relatable and sympathetic protagonist, and his interactions with other members of the Salieri family, like the charming but dangerous Paulie and the cold, calculating Don Salieri, are compelling. The voice acting is superb, bringing these characters to life and adding depth to the story. As you progress through the game, you really get to see the weight of Tommy's choices and the impact of his actions. The story doesn't shy away from the darker sides of mob life, and there are plenty of moments that will make you pause and reflect. By the time you reach the game's conclusion, you're deeply invested in Tommy's fate.
Gets us out of bed in the morning.
The ending of Mafia Definitive Edition is kind of heartbreaking. It wraps up Tommy's story in a way that feels both satisfying and heart-wrenching. After spending so much time with these characters, saying goodbye is tough. The final scenes stay with you, leaving a lasting impression. What Remains of Edith Finch. Let's dive into What Remains of Edith Finch. This game is an emotional and introspective journey that stays with you long after you've finished it. You play as Edith Finch, the last remaining member of the Finch family, who returns to her ancestral home to uncover the stories of her relatives. From the moment you step into the Finch house, you're pulled into a world that feels both mysterious and intimate. The house itself is like a character filled with hidden rooms, personal artifacts, and stories waiting to be discovered. Each room you explore tells the tale of a different family member, all of whom met tragic and untimely deaths. The storytelling in What Remains of Edith Finch is incredibly unique and engaging. Each family member's story is presented in a different style, ranging from a comic book horror tale to a surreal, dream-like sequence.
There were just memories of one.
These stories are not just narrated, they are experienced. You're not just a passive observer, you actively participate in these moments, which makes them all the more impactful. One of the most memorable aspects of the game is how it uses gameplay to convey emotion and narrative. For example, one story has you controlling a character who works in a cannery, and as he becomes more engrossed in his daydreams, you're physically splitting your attention between his mundane job and his rich fantasy world. These mechanics make each story feel deeply personal and immersive. The visuals and sound design also play a crucial role in the game's atmosphere.
I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
The art style is beautiful and varied, perfectly complementing the tone of each story. The music and sound effects are haunting and poignant, adding to the emotional weight of the narrative. As you piece together the history of the Finch family, you start to understand the theme of the game, the inevitability of death, and the importance of living life fully. Each story, while tragic, also highlights moments of beauty, joy, and humanity.
Hell, she was getting really tired.
The game's ending is both touching and thought-provoking. As Edith finishes recounting the stories, you come to realize the full impact of the family's history on her life. The final moments of the game are quiet and reflective, leaving you to ponder the experiences you've just gone through. What Remains of Edith Finch is a game that will make you sad when it ends because it's such a deeply emotional and beautifully crafted experience. The stories of the Finch family are tragic, but they're also filled with moments of hope and wonder. If you're looking for a game that offers a rich, narrative-driven experience, What Remains of Edith Finch is a must-play. It's a journey that will touch your heart and leave a lasting impression. Mass Effect. Alright, let's talk about Mass Effect. This game is all about big adventures in space. You play as Commander Shepard, and you get to explore different planets, meet all sorts of aliens, and make lots of important choices. The story starts with you trying to stop a bad guy named Saren, who wants to destroy the galaxy. As you travel around, you gather a team of friends who help you on your mission. Each friend has their own story and personality, and you really get to know them as you play. One of the best things about Mass Effect is the choices you make. You decide what Shepard says and does, and these choices can change how the story goes. Sometimes you have to make really tough decisions, and these can affect your friends and the whole galaxy. The game's world is huge and full of interesting places to explore. You visit different planets, each with its own look and feel. The graphics are really nice, and the game does a great job of making you feel like you're in a big, exciting universe. The combat in Mass Effect is fun too. You can use guns, special powers, and work with your team to fight enemies. The game lets you customize your character and your team so you can play the way you like. By the time you get to the end of Mass Effect, you feel really connected to Shepard and the team. The story wraps up in a big emotional way, and you might feel a little sad that the adventure is over. It's one of those games where you really care about what happens to the characters in the world. Mass Effect is a game that makes you feel like you've been on an epic journey. When it ends, you're sad because you've had such a great time exploring space and making important choices. If you love big adventures and cool stories, this game is perfect for you.
After the assassination of Prince Franz
Valiant Hearts: The Great War. Let's talk about Valiant Hearts: The Great War. This game is set during World War I, and it tells a very touching story about people trying to survive and help each other during tough times. The game looks like a cartoon with hand-drawn graphics that make it feel like you're playing through a storybook. Despite the serious topic, the art style is beautiful and adds a lot of emotion to the story. The music is also very touching and fits perfectly with what's happening on screen. Valiant Hearts isn't just about fighting. It's a puzzle adventure game where you solve different challenges to move the story forward. You might be sneaking past enemies, treating wounded soldiers, or finding your way through tricky areas. These puzzles are fun and make you think, but they're also not too hard, so you can enjoy the story.
Thank you very much.
The game does a great job of teaching you about World War I. There are lots of historical facts and items you can find that give more context to what's happening. It's a game that makes you think and feel, showing the human side of the war. By the end of Valiant Hearts, you feel really connected to the characters and their stories. The ending is very emotional and might make you cry because you've been through so much with them. It's a powerful reminder of the sacrifices people made during the war. If you're looking for a game with a heartfelt story and beautiful art, this one is definitely worth playing. It's a journey that will stay with you long after it's over. Red Dead Redemption 2. Alright, let's talk about Red Dead Redemption 2. This game is a real emotional roller coaster. You play as Arthur Morgan, a rough around the edges outlaw with a heart of gold. The story pulls you in right from the start, and you quickly get attached to Arthur and his gang. The game is set in the dying days of the Wild West, and everything about it feels alive. From the detailed landscapes to the deep, heartfelt conversations with other characters, you really feel like you're part of this world. You spend hours exploring, doing missions, and getting to know the members of your gang. As you play, you see Arthur go through a lot. He's tough, but he's also dealing with his own struggles and trying to figure out what's right and wrong. The game does a great job of making you care about him and his journey. And then, just when you think you're getting to a good place, things start to fall apart. The gang starts breaking down and Arthur's own health takes a hit. It's heartbreaking to see someone you've come to care about so much struggle and face such hard choices. By the time the game ends, you're left with a mix of emotions. You're glad for the time you spent with Arthur, but it's tough to say goodbye. Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't just a game, it's an experience that stays with you long after the credits roll.